Good friend of mine, very, very funny, Evan Bowen.
Thank you. Hey, give it up for Phil Fox. Booze bag, huh? Jeez. Drinking on stage. This is his job. Is anybody not drinking? You're not drinking? You gonna give Phil a ride home? You give Phil a ride home. He'll take a ride home. I remember when I was a kid, my health teacher, she said, just because your friends drink doesn't mean you have to drink. And I had a friend that decided not to drink, and we decided not to hang out with him anymore. I know, I didn't talk to that kid till my high school reunion, which is kind of awkward, you know, asking him for a job. If you are drinking tonight, please don't drive. Call a cab or do what I do. I like to call AAA, tell them I broke down. Let them tow your car to the next bar. You know, hang out the sunroof while that truck carts you around like a chariot. You know? Better to be in AAA than AA. Alcoholics Anonymous is not too anonymous if it's court-ordered. I like just about anything that's not good for me, because when I was a kid, my parents were into health food. Like, we didn't even have normal peanut butter in the house. It was all natural, you know, that stuff. You open the jar, there's like an inch of oil. In order to make a sandwich, you gotta mix it up like paint. By the time you're done stirring, you don't even want that shit. Hands all sore. You just lick the knife, call it a night. My mother would send me to school with like a healthy lunch, and man, you know how hard it is to try to get somebody to trade their Cheetos for my wasabi peas? Seriously, oh, it's awful. The only kids interested in my food were the poor kids, but they didn't have food to trade. They just had cigarettes. Like, cigarettes are like a poor kid's allowance. Parents are getting them ready for jail. You know, those kids. I used to think that kids that grew up in a broken home had it made, right? No, for real, think about it. Like, no one in the house has a curfew except for Dad because he's on probation. Like, what are those family arguments like? You're like, yeah, Dad, why don't you walk 15 feet out front of the house, tell me to come in? What's gonna happen when the electronic leg bracelet goes off? Oh, you gonna ground me when I get home? I saw those empties. You ain't gonna remember this conversation. None of the kids would ever come to my house. They were afraid, like, my mother would, like, force feed them tofu burgers and make them watch Reading Rainbow. Reading Rainbow used to be my favorite show growing up until the point when my parents got cable, and then it was real sex. You know, it was good, huh? Until you saw the segment on the unshaven elderly, you're like, oof. My dad's behind me, he's like, well, son, that's real sex. You know? I think I learned more about the human anatomy from watching Real Sex than I ever did from sex ed. Like, in sex ed, we watched a movie called The Miracle of Life. I learned that a head looks better going in than coming out. Some of the dads know what I'm talking about. No. I think I'm just afraid to have a child. I think I'm scared. Like, alcoholism runs in my family. Plus, my father writes science fiction novels, so I'm gonna have a drunk dork. You know, come home early, have to break up theme parties. You know, I'm also afraid. I'm afraid to have a daughter. Like I do not want to play princess. Like, my daughter can play princess over at her mom's house with her mom's boyfriend. Right? I know, I aim and high. Not a good way to start the relationship, no? I know. Yeah. I know, that's weird. Like, has anybody like, had a relationship, then broken up, then gotten back together? You had that, right? It's fun. You're like, I love you so much. Then you're like, so, how was your 3-month fuck spree? I'm from Boston, Massachusetts, and I've been here for about a year. I drove across the country. Has anybody driven across the country?
Yes.
Yeah, how long did it take?
Forever.
Forever?
It took us about 4 weeks.
4 weeks, so you got to see the sights. You stayed at some of those lovely motels on the way?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. They're pretty rough, man. I stayed at this one, I was trying to save money. I stayed at one called the Seashore Inn, which is kind of a red flag because we're in Oklahoma. All right, guys, you guys have been wonderful. Thank you so much. My name is Evan Bowen. You guys are awesome. We got a great show ahead of you.